Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Thursday Night Tackle Bites. I'm your host Jim Carr in for Victor Lynch tonight. And what we're going to be talking about in this episode is we're going to start up our series on striper fishing. It's getting to be now where stripers, the water temperature is getting just right and stripers are going to start moving in and getting ready for their spring spawn. So we're going to talk a little bit about striper fishing. Now, guys have been catching them all winter long, but you've got kind of like seasons with fish, or just like you do with the weather. And every season they react differently to the conditions. So, you've seen us in the past fish for stripers in deep water. You've seen us troll for them in shallow water. And a couple of things we're going to talk about this evening, and we're going to show you some video, is we're going to talk about downlining or tightlining over the side of the boat. And we're also going to talk about using planer boards. Now, you've heard us talk about planer boards a lot. It's one of my ways that I really like to fish, whether it's catfish, crappie, or stripers. So I tend to kind of stick with that quite a bit. Anyways, we're going to take you right off to a clip here where we fished down on Strom Thurmond Lake here back last April, and it was with a sponsor, and we were tightlining over the side of the boat with shad. Now, you can fish for stripers in several different ways. You can fish for them with plastic artificial baits. You can fish for them with hair jigs and things like that, or you can use live bait. So in this little clip, we were with this sponsor. We're fishing in the river area down there on the lake, and we were tightlining and slow trolling, pulling the boat with a trolling motor, and it was about 30 feet deep. And like I said, unlike winter time or summertime, when your stripers can be down to 60 feet and even more than that in the depth in water, the stripers were shallow because they were running up in the river spawning. So we had live bait on. We were using herring down there, and we happened to catch one. So let's just go ahead and watch this clip, and then I'll come back and talk to you a little bit about what we was doing. First fish on live bait.
Wow, what a monster.
Wow, what a monster. All right, well.
Nice fish.
I wasn't sure if we had one on there or not. He didn't even act like he was biting it. I mean, he didn't even act like he was really serious.
If you're,
we're gonna have to keep him.
If you're wanting to eat them, that's actually a great eating size
well,
fish.
we're gonna have to, because he's got that hook down there so deep. I'm afraid he's not gonna make it.
Okay.
Well, not a very big one, but it's a start for the day right there. That's a hybrid. I don't know. He's a hybrid on this side. He's a striper on that side. What is he?
That'd be a hybrid.
He'd be a hybrid. Okay, what we were doing in that clip is me and Randall were slow moving with a trolling motor, moving about 5.5, 6 miles, 0.5 and a half to 0.6 miles an hour. And we had rods out that had 2-ounce weights, and we had a leader, about 3 to 4 foot leader. Basically what we had was a refined Carolina rig. And like I said, our weights were like 3 ounces, and below that we probably had about 3 to 4 feet of leader with a swivel and a bead, and had our herring. And we were marking fish on the depth finder, and we were pulling across all these stripers, and every once in a while we'd happen to pick one off that just happened to like our bait. Now when I talk about tightlining, I'm talking about having a heavy-duty rod that you would use for catfishing or striper fishing, and you would have like a refined, what I call a refined Carolina rig. everything that we do is basically like you would have your Carolina rig, but in bigger size. Our weights were, I think Jason uses 3 to 4 ounces, and I think we had about 3 ounces on our lines there, because we weren't fishing that deep. We were moving really slow. We were only moving about 0.6 of a mile an hour, and the water depth was about 30 feet. That just happens to be. See, in the springtime, the stripers really don't hold up in a school a lot. They'll be more spread out, and basically you have to just kind of troll around finding them. You know, there again, it goes back to what I talk about quite frequently is, you know, always have an alternative bait on the boat, because if you don't, you could be spending a whole lot of time out there on the water, and where the fish might not be biting on live bait, they may want something artificial that has a lot more flexibility as far as, you know, movement and things like that. You just don't know what their attitude from day to day is going to be when you're fishing for them. All right, let's go to this next clip, and I can show you a little bit better in this next clip what we're talking about, tight lining, and Jason will explain to you exactly, you know, exactly how we do it. So let's go check out this next clip.
Into this, you don't have no slack.
I got the drag.
God have mercy, that's the biggest fish of the night, Debbie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my heart's beating. Debbie, you know what you just called? Look at the size of this striper, y'all.
Yeah.
No, I can't either. He's got too many lines wrapped around him. Y'all, look at the size of this pig. What does that fish go, 12?
Oh, that's a pretty.
Dude, that is a stud.
Look at that strap.
Look at that, Dim.
Yeah.
That's what we come for. Wow, Debbie. So what we're doing a little bit here tonight is these stripers are suspended. They're in 40, 50, 60 foot of water. So to get them at 40 foot, it's just as precise as anything. We just count them down. It's 2 foot from your rod to that first eye. So to get it at 40 foot, we just go 20 pulls. And there we is. That's she's set
Should be about 40 feet.
about every time. A lot of guys use line counter reels. I don't like the line counter reels. I'm just old school. I just like counting them down. It's always worked.
Striper fishermen do it that way.
Yep, that's always worked, and that's just the way we like to do it. And if you don't get him like that,
Yep.
you'll never get him.
Done.
If you try to turn him in,
Yep.
but if you get him like that, he's done every
Where you
time.
gonna hook 'em?
Yeah, since we already got him in my hand. But you try to turn them suckers in your hand, they'll slide
Done.
out. Oh, it's over. Them suckers are bad. We call them banjo nets.
All right, well, Jason really explained it just about as good as I can explain it to you, as far as, you know, how we tight line over the boat. And as you can see, we caught a lot of fish that day. If you watch the show that we did film, it's up on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch it. We caught a lot of fish that evening, and it was a hot August day. And we got down there in the afternoon, and it started to cool down, the wind started to blow, and we just commenced to be putting fish in the boat. Now, let's talk about baits a little bit, okay? Like I said, depends on the kind of the lakes you're in. You can use herring, you can use shad, some guys will use brim, and some guys will even use crappie for stripers. It really depends on the kind of forage you have in the particular lake or reservoir that you're fishing. And you know, these fish know what's natural for their water and what's not. So some baits will work better than others. Now, as far as artificial bait, we use all kinds of swim baits, work real good. You can use these on lead heads. Now what I've done is these are the catch 'em up bait swim baits. I don't know if you can see them very good in the camera right there, and with the lighting, if you can see what they look like. That's our perch, and then we have a 6-inch and that's a 3.5-inch shad right there, and then we've got a 5-inch blueback herring. Now we tried rigging these on different lead heads, and I just wasn't happy the way they were working, so I kind of got Alan to take and make me up some special lead heads just for these baits, and that's what he come up with. He come up with a jig head. I'm going to try to show that to you, with a jig head that's kind of flat on the back instead of rounded like this one here is, okay? So when you put the bait on your jig head, the nose of the bait will stick up against that jig head a little bit better and gives it just a little bit nicer profile. So Alan's making these, and they work really good with our baits. If you're going to take that bait and throw it out and cast it and reel it in, that will work real good too. But anyways, we've got that's one kind of bait we use, okay? We use them swim baits. You can use these swim baits now, guys, by themselves on a jig head like this, or you can take a bucktail like this right here, and let me show you what we would do. We do use bucktails a lot. We're going to go to a clip here in just a little bit where you'll see we use all kinds of bucktails. But what you can do is you can take and you can enhance the profile of that bucktail. Now that bucktail is going to come through the water just like that. And you can improve and enhance the looks and the profile of that bucktail a little bit and slow it down and give it a little more action if you just take your swim bait and you can put it on there just like so, okay? And that will give that action, it will give that tail sticking out the back right there and just give it a little more. I think I've got that stuck a little bit too deep. Let's try that. There we go. That's a little bit better. And what you've got is you've got a little bit more profile, but you've got that tail with that thing coming through the water that's making a lot of flash and a little bit of vibration. They'll pick up on that. Now another thing you can do with the bucktails, these are the triad bait bucktails. These are really nice if you guys haven't tried them. Is you can, a lot of things that we'll do from time to time is we'll take just a worm, just a what they call a ribbon worm. It's got a real long tail, and what's nice is you can change that profile just by clipping off a little bit of the head. And then there again, all you do is just take your bait and put it on there just like so, and that's what that will do right there with that bait coming through the water. Okay, you've got that big long tail out there coming through the water, and that will attract fish. Another thing we like to do, and I know you've seen this, we do it crappie fishing, we do this technique catfishing, and striper fishing, and that's by using planer boards. Now these here happen to be the original clear board from the Trophy Ridge Planer Board Company. BJ, they came on as sponsors on the show back here this spring, and we're really pleased and we're proud to have him with us. They make a really good product, guys. I'm going to push them a little bit because I believe in these and I use them, and there's some things about them that I just like. One thing is they're virtually indestructible, and the guarantee is really hard to beat. But they're a real light board. Now we've used these planer boards before, and what I don't like about these planer boards, everybody, is the fact that they are heavy. Now they're good, don't get me wrong, but they're heavy planer board. And when you're reeling this planer board in, I'll show you a clip in just a second here where this board, it will dig and it will gouge in the water. It makes it kind of difficult to bring these boards in. With these Trophy Ridge planer boards, when you're reeling them in, you don't even know the board's there. Okay, that's why the saying goes that BJ has, fight the fish and not the board, because when you're reeling them in, them boards will literally turn on the side like this, and you'll skate them like a ski right across the top of the water. And even when you're fighting a fish on here, they're so light that you don't even know they're there. Hey guys, I want to take a minute here and I want to show you what we're doing. We're out here striper fishing right now on Clark's Hill Lake, and I've got two of the Trophy Ridge planer boards out here. Now these are the crappy planer boards. I don't have any other striper boards with me because Alan Greer from Triad Bait is coming down here tomorrow, and he's going to be bringing the striper boards for us to troll with. But I wanted to get out here later on. I wanted to get out here this evening and do a little trolling around for stripers and just see what was going on. and I wanted to put these planer boards to a test. Now, I'm going to bring this board in, and I'm going to show you what we got on the end here. I'm going about 0.8 to a mile an hour, and we're pulling one of these 5-inch catch 'em up baits, blueback shads is what we're pulling on here, with a 1/8 of an ounce triad bait jig head. And if you take a look at these boards, they're pulling just as true and just as straight as they can, you know, as if they were the bigger boards. And they're not even sagging up or dipping down in the back like a lot of boards do. So they're a real stable board, and they work really, really good. And I mean, I never dreamed I could pull a bait that big going this fast with these boards and have them run so flat to the water. But let me wind one in here and I'll show you. Wind your line in, and when it catches up with your bead, that board will literally just scoop across the top of the water. A lot of boards, what they will do is they'll dig in and they'll dive and things like that. But not these Trophy Ridge planer boards. It's like they say, fight the fish, not the board. And it's true. It's nice because you don't even really know they're on there when you do get a fish on. You can use these planer boards with weights on them. These come in different sizes. These happen to be the crappie boards. You can use a bigger size board. There's 3 different sizes that Trophy Ridge has. And you can put up to, I think BJ told me, up to 12-ounce weights on the back of these without this board tipping up or causing any issues. And a lot of guys are doing that because a technique that a lot of guys are doing now is that they are trolling and drifting with planer boards for catfish and being quite successful at it. Whatever your preference is to catch them, I guess one thing I want to say is go out and catch fish and just have a good time. I'm just showing you some techniques that we like to use. I'm just showing you some different pieces of equipment that work good for us to help us catch fish. All right, well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Next week, Victor will be back, and he will be doing something on his segment. And next week, I will come back and we'll have a little bit different thing. I might break this down a little bit more on the bait and show you some more clips and talk to you a little bit more about striper fishing. But thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you watching. If you'd like to get some planer boards, you can get them from the Triad Bait Company, and you can get the hair jigs from the Triad Bait Company. If Alan's out of them or he doesn't have one, then you can just go ahead and get them right from Trophy Ridge planer boards themselves. And if you want some really good swim baits for striper fishing, check out Catch 'em Up Baits on our Carolina Outdoor Supply website. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate you watching. I hope I was able to bring a little something to you. I got rattling on here, and I probably covered more than I need to. But I hope I was able to bring something to you here that maybe helped you out, or will help you out here at springtime striper fishing. All right, so thanks for watching. We appreciate you tuning in. And I'm Jim for Thursday Night Tackle Bites. We will catch you somewhere next time in the next video. Thanks for watching.